Buenos dias. Good morning, everyone. My name is Karen Aceves, and I'm so happy to be here today. I'm here joined by my managing partner, Sarah Moffitt. We work on inclusive economic development initiatives across the state, collaboratives, programs, workforce development. And today I'm going to talk about the AgTech initiative, but I'm also going to go back a little bit because I know some of you heard my presentation yesterday on the specifics of how we built it and all the steps that it took to do that. But today I want to talk about a little bit about the pretzel that Tara mentioned and the collaboration that led to where we got. And so I'm going to talk about these three gears, but before I do that, I'm going to talk about the pandemic. And so I know in 2021, I think that was, I remember it by the different phases of the pandemic, and I think that was Omicron. But at the time, President Biden had released the Build Back Better Regional Challenge, and I think that was mentioned earlier, but for those of you who might not have heard about it, the Build Back Better Regional Challenge was an initiative set out by President Biden to say, how do we create inclusive industry clusters that really help diversify our economy and make us resilient to future pandemics? And for us in the Central Valley, in the Fresno region, we were really grappling with this. We had done Fresno Drive, developing the region's inclusive and vibrant economy, and we had a vision document called the F3 Vision Document. It was a 3-page document that we brought our UC partners, our state schools, community colleges, community-based organizations together and said, what is it going to take to fundamentally transform the agriculture industry in our region? We produce 60% of the nation's fruits and vegetables, yet we have the nation's third worst air quality as of, I think, a report that came out last week. We have some of the highest concentrated poverty in the nation. Those that feed us have the highest food insecurity in the nation, and we just can't continue to operate this way. After 25 years of doing economic development through these collaboratives in the region, it still hasn't, we still haven't figured it out, right? So how do we do this differently? And of course, the federal government said, figure out a way to do it and do it fast. We need a concept proposal in 2 months. So we brought those partners back together and we said, you know, through a series of processes, what can we put in 5 pages that says we're gonna, you know, transform our economy here? And these were the 3 gears that came up from that. So we said we need to commercialize our technology. We need to make sure that the technology that is used here is created here, that we don't continue to import our technology. And that was a partnership between UC Merced and Fresno State and a new nonprofit that was just created, F3 Innovate. The orange gear you see was how do we make sure that our small farmers have access to larger markets? How do we help them aggregate their produce, access those larger markets, higher value market products? How do we make sure that they have access to the tools? How do we create a tools lending library so they can understand how to use these tools and are the first to access these tools as well? And lastly, we have the Workforce Initiative, which I'm going to talk about today. And that's the blue gear. The Workforce Initiative is a partnership between industry, college, and farm workers. And so in December of 2021, when we found out of 529 applicants nationwide, we were one of the 60 finalists. There was 37 applications in California alone. We were one of the 60 finalists, and they said, put together this 5-page concept paper is actually 8 federal proposals. Do some outreach, put this together in another 3 months, and submit on March 15th. So our proposal for the AgTech project was, let's bring industry together, ask them what they need. Let's make sure farm workers are being upskilled. 1 in 3 farm workers are at risk for automation. And that's not even the biggest problem, right? The lifespan of a farm worker is 50 years of age. And my grandfather was a bracero, and you know he made it to 60 years, but we all know the tolls that takes on our farm worker population. And colleges, community colleges, at least in the Central Valley, our community colleges are located in very rural areas. Their enrollment was declining. How do we make sure that they can capture adult learners and train this population? So we put forward the proposal for an AA, and we thought, okay, we'll give everyone AAs, and they'll specialize in something around AgTech, and we'll train 8,400 workers, and 4,200 of those will be focused on the incumbent workforce. That was our proposal. What we came up with, so when we first, and this is how we were going to do it, we're going to have industry-aligned interdisciplinary workforce training and pathways, CBE, which came up later, and I'll talk a little bit about that, and we'd make sure we'd connect that talent to industry. What we started with when we were awarded, so we submitted our proposal March 15th. In October of 2022, we got the call that we were awarded $65.1 million. And why that's important, the point one, I always say, is because there was a $65 million award. I think it was in Appalachia. But they said, we gave you the point one because we wanted you to be the highest award in the nation, because we understand that we can't continue to build initiatives without making sure that those that are essential workers, many of you call it the equity piece, but those that are the essential workers are first in line to benefit from the economy, that they're stakeholders and they're collecting dividends in the economy that they share a part of. And so, yeah thank you. And because of our partnership with State Senator Ana Caballero, who came with us and advocated for this in DC, $65.1 million wasn't what we asked for. We asked for $100 million. And she came in and gave us an additional $15 million through a budget ask for the workforce piece, because she also recognized how important this piece was. So April 2020, almost just about a year, April 2022, 2023, oh God, time flew, just about a year ago. So we're at the year mark here. We launched this initiative. And when we launched, we said, let's go back to square one. Let's reach out to the farm workers. Let's bring our farm worker organizations. We partnered with many organizations that you might already know, Unidad Popular Benito Juárez, Las Panchas, Binational of Central California, California Farm Worker Foundation, and Pequeños Empresarios. And we asked them to collect 3,000 surveys. I think that was an arbitrary number at the time. We said, let's get 3,000 surveys to help our 7 community colleges figure out what your barriers are. And also, let's ask what farm workers want to do, right? We assume that they come in as a farm worker and they're working in the fields, that they didn't have a life before they came here. They didn't have a job. They didn't have skill sets. And so let's go ask them what they want to do. So we talked to all of our partners about this. They went out to Zumbathons, churches, the field, anywhere they could. And they came back a few months later with 12,000 surveys. And we didn't ask them for this. They said, this is how important we believe this initiative is. Here are 12,000 surveys, which is incredible. These are the colleges that participated in it. So at that time, 11,475. 85% of those were foreign-born or identified as Hispanic or Latino. These were our, like I said, these were our partners. And here are some of the statistics that really, okay, I have 2 minutes left, so I'm going to go quickly, that really impacted how we built this program. One really staggering statistic that I'm going to focus on is that 84% said they had reliable transportation. And so we asked our partners to dig a little bit deeper here, because that was a really big surprise to us, especially in rural communities. And they said, well, look, people say they have transportation, they have a car, they know someone that has a car, but their Wednesday this week might look very different than their Wednesday next week. So we have to have flexibility in the way that we train. For many people here, they know some English, but language has always been a barrier to them. For many people here, there's such a cost benefit that goes with going to school consistently. They're constantly being pulled in many directions. So faculty saw these surveys across the colleges and said, the only way forward that we can move forward is really this thing called competency-based education, right? Which divorces time from learning. Many of the farm workers here could probably teach many of the classes that we were thinking of training them in, but maybe not open a book. 6th grade farm workers have a 6th grade level of formal education. And like I mentioned, my grandfather, he was one of the smartest people I know. And I think many of you in this room know a farm worker and know that level of ingenuity and intelligence they have. Formal education just does not work necessarily for them. So how do we adapt to that? So we created this program that said, hey, you can train based on skills alone. You can come in and show mastery. You can come in on your own schedule, simulate, take these simulations online, or come in person, and then schedule when you can show mastery of it, when you feel confident enough, or if you need help, come in and schedule that, and we'll show mastery. So when you go and look for a job, they'll know that you have mastered this. They won't say you have an A, B, or C or general certificate on this and you don't really know where you stand. Industry has a certification that knows exactly what you know, and you do that on your own time, in between harvest, across colleges if you need to. So this was the program that was created. These are all the other things that farm workers said they were interested in, and I'm blowing through this. This was a certificate which really focused on soft skills. So ultimately we said, they need to have soft skills. People need to have soft skills or durable skills, as we like to call them, that transition across different economies. You know, we don't know how long this is going to last and this is going to be the thing. So how do we make sure that what someone learns is durable and allows them to create pathways into other opportunities? And that's my time, so I'll leave it at that. But just to say that when we partner, when we bring everyone together, back to what Tara said, and we leverage everyone's strengths, you can really create something that's better than the sum of its parts. Thank you.